Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video, episode number 610, right here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel, and NoDQ&A videos affiliate, ringsidenews.com. The streak of daily videos continues. So much to talk about coming off Wrestlemania weekend. Make sure you stay tuned to NoDQ.com. Lots of news up on the website right now regarding Wrestlemania weekend. And make sure you check out the other videos. You might have missed one or two or even several because I've been posting so many of them. Check out all the NoDQ&A videos. Check out my recap videos from WrestleMania weekend if you haven't already. With that being said, let's get down to your questions here from spring.me/AaronRift. First one today comes from Worthless Nut. With Sting losing and Taker's streak broken, do you feel a match with the two would be wise? I don't want to see Sting lose again, and 22-2 just seems unnecessary. I do not want it to happen now. Your thoughts? Well, I think that match would be a good way to send off both guys. Have a joint retirement match at WrestleMania 32. I think that's something fans want to see. And when Sting came out at the end of the show after Raw went off the air this week, the crowd just started chanting Undertaker like crazy. Sting was talking about, "I'm not sure what my future is," and the crowd just erupted in Undertaker chants. To me, it's clear what the fans want. The fans want Sting versus Undertaker, and I think it would be very fitting for both guys to have their retirement match against each other. Now, as far as who would win that match, I think I would prefer to see Sting win, especially since he lost at this year's WrestleMania and Undertaker got his win over Bray Wyatt. But it doesn't really matter if the two of them just went out there and had a match about respect, and then after the match they shook hands and hugged and raised each other's hands. I think that would be a very cool way to end both of their careers, and maybe they could even do, WWE could do a joint Hall of Fame induction for both guys, even though I think it would be better to keep them separate. But you could do an angle where Undertaker faces Sting at WrestleMania, and then the night before they both get inducted into the Hall of Fame. Two Hall of Famers in their joint retirement match against each other. I think that would go over really well with the fans. It would be a huge match for WrestleMania. All right, this one comes from Sepix. Hey Aaron, I was wondering, do you think Roman Reigns has a chance to get over with fans anymore? I think if he has a few more kick-ass matches and improves his mic work, then maybe there's a chance. Your thoughts? Well, Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber said that there was always a chance. So I guess there is a chance, and in wrestling they say never. With Roman Reigns, I think the fans have a viewpoint of him as a guy who isn't worthy of being in the spot that he's in. But if he continues to improve over time, if he has really memorable matches and he does improve on the mic, I could see the fans starting to accept him more. I mean, a lot of people out there feel it was just too soon for him and he's not ready or whatever. So we'll see what happens with him. If Roman Reigns continues to do well in WWE, eventually he could be the guy to carry the company. It's clear right now he's not the guy. And even at Raw, the fans booed him despite the fact that he did not win the title. And they completely hijacked the match, and I think a lot of it was due to Roman Reigns being in the match. Also, probably Kane and Big Show being involved, and the fans just wanting to make a scene and make it about themselves. But it's definitely a possibility for Roman Reigns. I would not rule out the chance of him eventually becoming the top guy and being accepted by the majority of the fan base. All right, this one comes from Kawful Prime. Hey Aaron, what do you think of the chants on Raw on the post-WrestleMania show with the Divas chanting "You suck Cena" and "You suck Bryan" and so on? Will it affect the plans of Give Divas a Chance? Congrats from Chile. Well, when the fans started with those chants, I was really surprised. I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe this. That was my reaction when it happened. I was quite shocked that the fans would go that far with the chants, but they wanted to make noise. They wanted to be heard, and they thought that they were being funny and clever with those chants. And it made for entertaining television, or being there live at least. When I watched it back on television, it did seem like WWE muted out some of the chants, and they had the commentators talk as much as possible. You know, sometimes there's dead silence with the commentary, but I think it was pretty clear that the announcers were instructed to talk as much as possible. They were talking more than usual, and I think WWE was trying to do everything in their power to drown out those chants to the best of their ability. And I think a lot of people were embarrassed about it. I do think it makes wrestling look bad when the fans make those kind of chants and, you know, degrading the divas. You know, if they don't like the match, they could just chant boring. But then the weird thing is that they were making those chants and then they started chanting "Let's go Divas," and they were going with positive chants. So, you know, it was just the fans trying to draw attention to themselves. You know, some people hate those kind of crowds. But to me, it definitely enhanced the live experience with the fans just going crazy with all these wacky chants. But I could definitely see why people were upset about it and how it makes the entire industry look bad with those kind of chants. All right, this one comes from Kayfabe Candy Ass. Hey Aaron, while I enjoyed the speeches for the most part, do you think WWE will try and prevent the Hall of Fame from running longer than WrestleMania itself in the future? I get there was a lot of inductees, but man, what was the vibe like towards the end? Well, the vibe remained quite positive, I think, for the duration of it. I think some people were a little tired of the speeches going so long, but at the same time, people were very respectful. And I didn't see a problem with the speeches going on long. I think there were just too many of them. I think WWE inducted too many people into this year's Hall of Fame ceremony, and because of that, it went on 4 hours, and if you inducted 5 or 6 people, you would have had a solid 3 hours, and people would have gotten time to do their speeches. I think that letting guys go out there and have long speeches is better than cutting them too short. You look at the 2009 Hall of Fame, which I thought was extremely disappointing because the speeches were cut so short and guys were given time limits. Literally, there was a timer counting down to when they needed to wrap up their speech or their speeches. And I'd rather see it go in the other direction, because you can always edit down the speeches for television or whatever, but let the guys go out there and have their moment. It's about them, and you know, let them go out there and be able to bask in it and say what they want to say. But overall, I did enjoy the ceremony. I was really entertained by it from start to finish, and it did drag a little bit at times, but you know, people were very respectful, and it was still a very memorable ceremony. All right, got this one here from not Kayfabe Candy Ass, but rather K-Ass Candy Fabe. Do you think it's BS that the reason, according to WWE, that Daniel Bryan was kept out of this year's main event was not to demote him, but out of concern for his health? If they really were concerned, why put him in a 7-man ladder match? Well, I think that WWE knew with this ladder match that with 7 guys involved, Daniel Bryan doesn't have to take a lot of punishment. It can be distributed amongst the entire group, and there's other people that will be taking bumps. You know, the biggest bump of the match, I thought, was Dean Ambrose getting the power bomb from Harper. You know, that was the big high spot of the match, and you know, Daniel Bryan didn't really take all that many risks in the match. You know, it was mainly the other guys, and you know, Ziggler was taking a lot of bumps. You know, Bryan ended up winning the match, and you know, I think that it was pretty safe. You know, Daniel Bryan didn't really do anything completely out of line to put his health at risk, I thought. So, you know, I think you know, with Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar, if WWE had even considered doing that match, you know, some people would say, well, you know, Brock Lesnar, you know, he works very intensely, and you know, Daniel Bryan could be put at risk. He's such a small guy compared to Brock Lesnar, and would Brock Lesnar be able to protect him and you know, keep the match realistic? You know, there is some concern, I guess you could say, but I think that wasn't the reason. You know, Daniel Bryan being at risk in a match with Brock Lesnar, I don't think that that's the reason why they kept him out of the match. I think they kept him out of the match because they wanted to try and build up Roman Reigns as the next top star, and then as we all saw, they got cold feet with it and went with Seth Rollins cashing in Money in the Bank. All right, this one comes from Hail Rocky. Hey, yo, Aaron, who should be in the Mount Rushmore of WCW? Please answer in video, thanks. This is an interesting question. I don't think I've gotten this one before. I've gotten the question about the Mount Rushmore of WWE. For a Mount Rushmore WCW, I guess if you had to limit it to 4 people, I mean, obviously Ric Flair. I would definitely go with Sting. And then from that point, you could put a number of people in. I think you would have to put Goldberg in, because Goldberg was arguably the biggest star that WCW created on their own. And then I think I'd have to go with Hogan. So Flair, Hogan, Sting, and Goldberg would be my top 4. All right, got this question here from Wrestling Dude 95. Yo, Aaron, what did you think of the Orton-Rollins match and also the spot where Orton RKO'd Seth in the middle of the curb stomp? Well, if you saw my comments on Twitter, my coverage, you knew what I thought of the match. I thought it was awesome. I thought the spot was just friggin' amazing. Hats off to Seth Rollins and Randy Orton as well. You know, after watching that match, and I watched it back on the network, Seth Rollins definitely deserves where he's at in WWE and being WWE champion. I mean, he's just such a tremendous athlete, and his promo work has been excellent. Seth Rollins, when he was given the ball last year with the heel turn, he really stepped up to the plate and hit a home run after home run. I mean, just watching his performance at WrestleMania in both the Orton match and his brief time in the ring during the main event, he was just incredible. His athleticism, I mean, he's as good as anybody that's ever been in a WWE ring, in my opinion. The guy is just phenomenal and deserves everything that he's got in WWE, in my opinion. And one more question here from Bader1993. Hey Aaron, what do you make of WWE putting Randy Orton against Seth Rollins for the titles at Extreme Rules? And could we see a match between Orton and Lesnar in the next couple months? Everyone wants it to happen so badly. Thank you. Well, I could definitely see Orton and Lesnar happening at some point now that Lesnar has signed his new deal. I mean, I think it's inevitable. When you look at possible opponents for Lesnar in the future, Randy Orton seems like an obvious choice. And as far as Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins for the title at Extreme Rules, to me that is the logical choice, because Randy Orton beat Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, and it would make sense for him to be the logical contender. With Brock Lesnar suspended in storyline, Randy Orton would be the next guy in line when you look at it from a logical standpoint. And you could say Roman Reigns, but Roman Reigns had his match and he lost. So one would think that Randy Orton would be the next guy to get the shot. And, you know, continue the feud. You know, finish one feud before you move on to the next. Randy Orton and Seth Rollins, you know, Orton has a legitimate claim to the title. So finish that feud, and then you can do Rollins and Reigns or whatever the next feud will be. All right, so that'll wrap it up for this edition of No DQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please share it with a friend on Facebook or Twitter. NoDQ.com. Lots of news going on right now about WrestleMania and Extreme Rules. So check out NoDQ for the latest, and I will see you guys next time for more.